sitting back like the seats of an 86 Delta 88 coupe on D's and Bones, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Going live in a minute, Blizzard King. This is Winter Dinner Spurling Podcast. You are rocking with the realest black men represented. Ain't no lies, cause we winning. Catching flies, ain't no feelings. Uncle D, we the villain, baby. We just left the village, baby. Now we in them villas, baby. Dinner Spurling Podcast, tuning in, we get it, baby. You can hate the player, hate the game. We love all you haters. Hate watch, hate watch. Calling lovely ladies, hands on your knees. You can thank us later. We snatching the crowns off of queens. We obliterate them. Tell the truth, shame the devil. They trying to eliminate us. You begging the sipping haters. Peeling layers off potatoes. Whoa. Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Tennis Spurling Podcast. Whoa. Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Tennis Spurling Podcast. Whoa.
We have to clean up what's going on in our house before we do anything else. Looking at myself as I would see myself in the future. Looking up at my father, looking at his face and seeing my face.
People are so inclined to believe that black men are deadbeat fathers.
The f else you need?
I'm the black boogeyman villain that just came on. Something going wrong, I'm the one you put the blame on. Community is f***ed up, shame on me. Deadbeat daddy put the blame on me.
Black men actually enable the very thing that they hate. Woo!
So by now, everybody has heard about the CDC research that was done, that black men are going around using that as their safe place to prove to everybody that they are excellent fathers and they are the most involved fathers of any other demographic.
Shut your ass up!
Shut your ass up!
Run the game on me when I'm the best father. All the pain I see telling me to try harder. Broken, I'm dusty, no deodorant, I'm musty. I'm the fall guy for the race when you getting busted. Stand up and be a man when your women want the role, want the leadership, the money, run the household. Be as naked as a child, and I'm supposed to smile. You the reason why the neighborhood kids running wild. Karma comes around, baby, keep your cookie. Matter of fact, I'm on a flight, you can pass that shit to Pookie. Chicago back to Houston, New York we deem this useless. Baby, I'm in DR, and mommy serving juices. Every movie needs a bad guy, why not be the black guy? Shit, you can hang it on me. You need a scapegoat, point us out and take no shit. You know they gonna hang it on me. When you need a reason and the ladies commit treason, all you gotta do is hang it on me. Your daddies and your uncles and your nephews, that's amongst us, watch the whole world hang it on me. You to blame for this crisis, you to blame for this ISIS. Paper saver got creators favored. Who you think gon' die for being righteous? Who gon' vote for the oppressor? Me. Who pay most to get the lesser? You handing out all of the treasures, the immigrants getting the blessings. Who you think rapping is real? Want my opinion about this kill? I'm not Arab, homie, how did this feel? Cause I'm not living off in this real. My opinion, no matter, we get a deal. No reparation, just meal. I'm only speaking about what we feel. Keep talking that talk, I need a refill. Every movie needs a bad guy, why not be the black guy? Shit, you need a scapegoat, pointers out to take no shit. You know they gonna hang it on me. When you need a reason and you ladies commit treason, all you gotta do is hang it on me. Your daddies and your uncles and your nephews, that's amongst us, watch the whole world blame it on me. Every movie needs a bad guy, why not be the black guy? You can hang it on me. When you need a scapegoat, point us out and take notes. No, they gonna blame it on me.
Fathers are underappreciated. Those of you guys who don't know, my name is Dennis Spurling, also known as Uncle D, affectionately by the young fellas out there. And of course, the Blizzard King. Nevertheless, should I say, I'm an attorney, I'm a podcaster, and I'm also, my favorite title is that of father. But I'm going to take the opportunity today to really talk to you guys about fatherhood.
Black man hit me up being like, yo, I can't wait to be a dad. I can't wait to be a father. And I feel like I owe those young men to tell them, like, bro, this is hard because it exposes things about you that you don't know about yourself. It exposes all of your insecurities. And it's a huge emotional undertaking. Bro, when you see this and me playing with my baby and it looks really cool and you want to have those moments, just know that that's the upside. It comes with a downside and it can be incredibly painful. So before you take on a family, bro, go see somebody about your past and go see somebody about the trauma that you've endured throughout the course of your life and start healing. Because if you don't heal from that, you'll have all this and you'll never be happy. Especially anybody who thinks that you can just pour water over a lady and a baby and have a happy family overnight. This ain't oatmeal, man.
Welcome to the broadcast. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, man. This is Uncle D, the Blizzard King, Hall of Fame attorney, business owner, father, and so many other things, man. I want to welcome you all back to the Dennis Spurling podcast. Shout out to Chugwe Igwe, my man Fifi Doncourt, Cody Marshall, all my brothers over in the motherland, Devin Townsend. Who else we got up in here? My man Black Samurai. Big shout out to all you guys. Today, we are talking about the unexpected rise of Black Maga. Look, somebody type Black Maga in the chat room. Somebody type Black Maga in the chat room. You know, we're living in times where everything you thought you knew about politics is being turned on its head. One of the biggest surprises that America has seen, that the world has seen in the recent years, is the rise of Black folks, specifically Black men, align themselves with the Make America Great Again movement. Somebody type MAGA in the chat room. Yes, Black MAGA. For a lot of people, this feels like a shock. How could Black Americans who have been marginalized for so long be conservative? How can they do that? And here's the thing. We often find ourselves at odds with the Republican Party. And now we embrace the MAGA agenda. What's really going on here? And what does it mean for the future? See, for a long time, there's been this narrative that Black Americans are locked in one political identity, a voting bloc that's forever loyal to the Democratic Party. But what's happening now challenges the old way of thinking. More and more Black voters, especially Black men, are looking at the promises that were made to them and asking, where's the follow through? They feel left behind by policies that were supposed to bring progress but hadn't delivered. So now these voters are looking for something different. Whether we're talking about a stronger economy or a tougher stance on immigration, or return to traditional values. But it's clear it's not just about the policies. The rise of Black MAGA speaks to something deeper: class, culture, identity. A lot of working class Black Americans share the same frustrations as other groups who feel left out of the conversation. They believe that the Democratic Party has taken their loyalty for granted, offering them nothing in return but broken promises. So they're tuning in to the anti-establishment message that MAGA represents, a message that says the system is rigged and it's time to break it apart. For some, Trump's boldness and his unapologetic style are more appealing and than the complicated, sometimes confusing messages coming from the left. They're drawn to his willingness to shake up things, even if it means breaking a few rules along the way. Now, here's the other side. Supporting MAGA for some Black Americans is a form of rebellion. It's a way to say, you're not going to tell me how I should think or vote just because I'm Black. It's a rejection of the expectation society places on them. And it's saying, I'll make up my own damn mind. Of course, this doesn't mean that everyone in the Black community who leans towards MAGA is fully on board with everything Trump says or does. Many have their own criticisms, especially when it comes to race, but their voices are growing and they're making it clear they won't be ignored or dismissed anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep dive into this. We're going to talk about what the rise of Black MAGA really means, not just for Black political power, but for the future of American politics as a whole. And this isn't just a trend, folks. It's part of a broader shift, a rethinking, if you will, of what it means to be Black and politically engaged in the United States. Now, I want you guys to wait a minute. We'll be right back. I'm trying to get my 20 super chats. But other than that, I'll be right back and we're going to get this thing. My name is Dennis Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas. My mandate is to be an advocate for Black men, largely because I am a Black man. I'm a Black father. I have Black sons. And I want to make sure that the issues confronting Black men are defended, protected, enunciated, spoke upon by Black men who have a vested interest in the Black community. And so my draw to the Black manosphere, or YouTube in general, to use my voice, my wisdom, my experience, was solely because Black men weren't being heard. But they're hearing us now. They're hearing us as to our issues related to modern relationships, politics, education, finance, and so many other things. And I'm extremely proud of these gentlemen. I'm extremely proud of the people who put this together. It is a wonderful event, and I look forward to attending in the years to come. Hey, man, I do what I do. All right, welcome back. So there was an article that came out today, and I'm going to blow it up on the screen so you all can see. It came out in the New York Times. I want you guys to take the opportunity to read the New York Times if you had a chance, or at least check this article out. I'm going to pull it up. You should be able to see it right now. You guys hit the number 1 button if you're with me. Make sure you hit the number 1 button. So it basically is written by, it came out because this is shocking. And this is the cover picture right here. And it basically is the Democrat Party. It starts off by saying that we're covering the Times poll of Black and Hispanic Americans, as well as topics on the Middle East, Russian disinformation in Africa, and millennial spending. But a political diagnosis is what the name of this article is. And it says that the Democratic Party has spent years hoping the demographics would equal destiny as the country became more racially diverse. Democrats envisioned that they would become the majority party, and thanks to support of Asian, Black, and Hispanic voters. The politics of America, according to this vision, would begin to mirror the liberal politics of California. And it's not working. Somebody type, it's not working in the chat room. It's not working that way. Instead, Black people, along with other people who are in the minority group, have moved to the right over the past decade. And they are trying to figure this out. They do not understand what happened. Now, the article goes on to say a few other things. And if I want to highlight the article, I guess I could summarize it by saying it's a misdiagnosis. The Democrat Party assumed that increasing racial diversity would automatically translate into majority support for them, particularly from Black and Hispanics. And this is in the New York. You got to understand something. This is in the New York Times. This is considered the paper of record. It is a paper of great significance. And so the fact that they are talking about this means it is on the mind of all the pundits and so on and so forth. But see, what's happened over the last decade, many people of color, especially Black people, working class voters, have shifted to the right, and they moved away from the Democrat Party. And another significant rightward shift has occurred, particularly amongst working class voters of color without four-year college degrees. Normally, people without degrees, well, people with degrees vote for Republican, but the bottom line is black folks pretty much vote the same way. But the poll data shows a decrease in Democratic support amongst the groups, both black and Hispanic, compared to previous elections. The article suggests that for many Americans, economic class, somebody type economic class, somebody type money or money you make in the chat room, somebody type money in the chat room, economic class is more significant. It's a more significant factor than race. How much money you make is more important than the color of your skin. That's what they find shocking. And that's what we're going to dig into. And they're saying that race is more money, the amount of money, your economic class is more likely to determine your political alignment as far as black people are concerned. And this challenges the Democratic Party's focus on racial identity as a key to securing the vote. All they had to do was say, I'm black, she's black, vote for us because we're black. But now it's like, no, I'm not, that's not it. So what you see is identity politics going through a metamorphosis. Now, many people, many black folks, particularly working class voters, have grown skeptical of the Democrat Party, and it's a party. They see it as the party of the rich. They see it as a party of the establishment, and issues like stagnant income growth, inflation under Biden, Harris, and dissatisfaction with immigration policies have pushed these voters away. Big shout out to Internet Passport. Thank you so much, fam, for being the first one to contribute to the super chat. I need 19 more and we'll be good to go. 20 will be plenty. So let's continue. This article also goes on to discuss, and I'm gonna try to blow it up a little bigger. So this is something that just came out today, so I had to hit it. New York Times, okay, New York Times article today written by this fella, David Lionheart. Now, this article continues. It says areas where working class voters align with conservative views. Crime, we have a problem with crime, we have a problem with immigration, and we have a problem with the current foreign policy. And many black people, many black voters express frustration with issues like high immigration and the perception that the new arrivals are unfairly skipping the line. This is not just black voters, it's also Hispanic voters, people who typically have relatives who they can reach out and touch who have immigrated to this country, some legal, some illegal, and they have a problem with it. And so as the Democrats face challenges with black and Hispanic voters, they have to become increasingly reliant on the support from college-educated white voters and suburbanites, for whom who now form a larger portion of their base. Think about that. It used to be minorities. It used to be people of color. Now they got to depend on white people, white educated liberals who live in the suburbs. Isn't that something? So that's the shift. Democrats obviously miscalculated by assuming that voters of color are going to predominantly or are predominantly liberal or progressive. But many working class voters, black, Hispanic, remain moderate and conservative. And that has a lot to do with our upbringing and a lot to do with our religious beliefs. And there are concerns such as opposition to the rapid changes in gender norms. This is what the article says, or support for the border security aligned with the more conservative values. Basically, what they're saying is it's about money, and we don't like the way you're trying to push this they-them stuff on us. We don't like it. It's moving too fast. We get it. We get this is where you want to go. But black folks are not going to naturally align with someone just because you refer to them as a minority. All right. The article emphasizes that the importance of class identity in shaping political views, particularly among black men who have shifted more towards the right than black women. Listen, black men who have shifted more towards the right than black women. Why do you think that is? Probably because we don't benefit from those Democratic parties' policies. And this shift is influenced by economic frustration, delusionment with promises of progressive policies. An article concludes by stating that both white working class voters and voters of color, meaning black people, share similar economic frustrations and concerns, creating opportunities for Democrats. If they can address this overlapping issue, however, Republicans have been better at appealing to this shared sense of dissatisfaction with the current political establishment. And that's why they're winning, and that's why they have so much popularity. Fam, here's the thing I need you guys to check out. Not only are black folks talking about this, they're extremely verbal when it comes to these issues. I'm going to share some stuff on from IG. And this little brother really goes hard. I want y'all to check out what he has to say. Let me see here. Let me see if I can play this. Let me know if you can hear this.
And fuck the Democratic Party. We vote for Trump, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Barack Obama, as a black man, this must be sad, man. Fuck you. Fuck Kamala Harris, and fuck the Democratic Party. We vote for Trump, right? Hey, Barack Obama, as a black man, this must be sad.
Use the language.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck Kamala Harris, and fuck the Democratic Party.
All right.
We vote for Trump, right?
So this young man expresses sentiment. Here's another one.
You guys,
There you.
once they figure out that it's not just the black male vote, oh my God, you guys, I'm hiding because once they figure out that it's not just the black male vote, but also us black females who ain't voting for Kamala in record numbers like black people usually vote for Democrats in record numbers. Oh my God, y'all, once they figure it out, they gonna send Michelle. They gonna send Michelle after us. Oh my God, you guys. I gotta find a better hiding place. Oh my God, you guys.
Oh man. So I mean, not only are black people are straight clowning, you know what I'm saying? Like they are straight clowning this whole situation. And you know, it's not really
Or a black man turning on Kamala Harris, assuming that she had their vote in the first place. The answer is very simple. Black men are sick and tired of the white power structure, constantly promoting the black woman, giving her money and power, teaching her Western feminist values, and turning her against the black man, marginalizing him even further. Oprah Winfrey, Whoopi Goldberg, and now Kamala Harris kind of represents that. Historically, African societies have been patriarchal for tens of thousands of years. Even though the West has done their best to spread Western liberal feminist values into Africa, you won't find a single Fulani village anywhere in Africa where, for example, women are bossing men. Just FYI, are black men turning on Kamala Harris.
All right, so you guys see what's going on here. I'm not going to go through my whole Instagram page, but for the most part, what you see happening is a change, and you see black people outright rebuking the Democrat Party in a very embarrassing way. And if you want to, and here's the thing, even places like SNL,
Something that you keep in your glove compartment.
better not put this on. That might get me struck. But look, so the thing is, family, I want you to have a better understanding. I want to talk to my brothers, okay? Because they're trying to make it seem like it's something wrong with us, and really it's something wrong with them. All right. So I'm gonna ask you guys a question, and y'all let me know. Are we good? We good? And somebody type, yeah, we good. We know exactly what we're doing. They don't understand what's going on and why this is happening, but I do. And the reason I know is because I talk to you guys every day, and I have done so for many years now. But let me first explain something. Let me explain why they're off. Number one, there are a lot of black people advising the Democrat Party, okay? But one of the issues that they have, one of the issues that the Democratic Party has is understanding foundational black Americans. The Democrats have been operating from a place of naivete. Shout out to my man, Cody Marshall. They're in complete ignorance of foundational black American culture, largely because they've been taking their advice from black immigrants, educated in liberal elite institutions, rather than from people who actually understand foundational Black American history and culture. If you talk to most immigrants who come to this country from Africa, from the Caribbean, they will tell you Black Americans don't have culture. So if you're talking about somebody who doesn't even acknowledge that foundational Black American culture exists, how then can you get them to advise you on the direction that the culture is taking foundational Black Americans? I want you to think about that. If you talk to most immigrants, they don't understand Black culture here in America. They don't understand. They say it doesn't exist. They'll say outright, we don't have culture. But then you have the Democrats who will then hire or retain immigrants to advise them on what's going on with Black Americans, the vast majority of which are foundational Black Americans. Those are Black people who can trace their roots to the slave plantations, tobacco fields, and cotton plantations here in the United States. So that's the number one reason they're getting bad intel. The Democrats have a long believed that black vote is automatically theirs. And they assume that race alone determines political loyalty. They've miscalculated this completely. And the reality is Black Americans, especially foundational Black Americans, are not a monolithic group that just follows the party because of history. The Democratic Party has done little to actually speak to the needs and values of foundational Black Americans. Shout out to my man Kareem Sharif. I'm gonna get y'all in a minute. And they paid for it in the recent years as more FBAs are beginning to question why they should remain loyal to a party that doesn't deliver. See, Democrats don't seem to grasp that foundational Black Americans are deeply rooted in Christian, conservative, and Southern traditions, okay? And they've wrongly assumed that foundational Black Americans would never align with the Republican ideal, but they forget that FBAs originally leaned conservative, had Republican roots, and were the backbone of the Southern Christian values. What more, the Democrats' misjudgment stems from this elitist viewpoint that assumes that all Black voters are progressive because that's what they hear from the immigrant voices who've been groomed in these liberal academic bubbles. In addition to these Black immigrants, who for the most part may be first or second generation, probably first generation immigrants, you also have members of the LGBT community who reach these high positions, and good for them. But there's a natural bias associated toward liberalism and progressivism because it behooves them to be that. So they're going to advise those Democrat policymakers to push something that otherwise these Southern traditions and conservative Christian values would not otherwise tolerate. So what we're dealing with, or should I say, the Democrats are being advised by immigrants and the second generation elites who've attended these prestigious liberal schools. And these folks often have a completely different experience and perspective than foundational Black Americans who've lived in the struggle, lived the struggle of systematic racism here in the United States for centuries. And see, these immigrant advisors have absorbed these liberal ideologies, this liberal ideology from these institutions they attended, and now they're pushing policies and values that are wholly detached from the needs of the typical foundational Black American. Black immigrants don't share the same history. They don't share the same struggle or cultural understanding of FBAs. And when you have someone who hasn't walked the path of an FBA, giving advice to the Democrat Party on how to reach Black American voters, it's bound to backfire. And so these immigrants' voices, they may understand systematic racism from a theoretical standpoint, but they don't understand the generational pain, cultural pride, and values that drives FBA. That's why the Democrats have completely missed the shift among FBAs towards Republican Party. They're listening to the wrong voices that are not rooted in FBA culture. The article that I put up, it highlights that Black voters, especially working class FBAs, feel left out of the Democrat Party agenda. And this is a major point. See, many FBAs come from humble working class backgrounds, and the Democrats have failed to address the economic and social issues that impact their daily lives. Meanwhile, FBA see the Republican Party at least attempting to speak to the concerns around jobs, economic opportunity, and law and order. Democrats have this elitist attitude where they think the FBAs should just accept policies and cultural changes without questioning it, how it impacts their communities. But foundational Black Americans come from a culture of self-reliance, faith, and community. And we want policies that reflect that. The Democrats, instead, they focused on identity politics while ignoring the bread and butter issues that matter to FBAs. And again, they're advised by liberal elites, rainbow affiliates who have no connection to the grassroots struggles of Black Americans. FBAs are now turning to the Republican Party because they offer solutions rooted in faith, stability, values that resonate with our history. Now, here's another thing. Again, the Democrats completely underestimate the importance of the Christian and Southern values that have been instilled in most Black Americans. They assume that Black voters would follow their progressive agenda without considering how out of touch they become with the conservative faith. Based on culture, they still hold sway in foundational Black American households. Many of you all have relatives, grandmothers who you might live in Detroit, you might live in Chicago, but your grandmothers and grandparents and your relatives are from Arkansas. They're from Louisiana. They're from Mississippi. They're from Alabama. They're from Georgia. So you have these deep Southern roots and these deep Southern traditions, although you may live in these liberal cities. And so deep down inside, even though you know you can't admit it, you don't like some of the policies. You don't like the they-them policies. Somebody type they-them in the chat room. Huh? Somebody type they-them and somebody, y'all clowning me about my bar. Man, look, man, I'm trying to tell you, I'm working on it, but I got to let this grow back. It'll be all right, baby. I'm gonna let it grow back. My man said Uncle D get in the barber chair. I got you, baby. Just let me get this message out. Don't worry about it. Uncle D will be losing his hair soon. Oh man, y'all crazy. Anyway, shout out to everybody in the chat room. Shout out to my man Chuck Taylor. Good looking out, baby. I'm gonna get that taken care of. Somebody put something on my haircut. Oh, you got me distracted. Let me get back to this thing, man. But anyway. So they underestimate our strong ties to church and conservative Southern traditions. And these principles resonate more with the Republican platform as it is right now. And this is what Democrats' naivete really shows. FBAs are tired of the progressive left ignoring their deeply held Christian beliefs and dismissing the traditional family values and belittling this connection to the South. The Republicans, on the other hand, have begun to reclaim some of these values, whether it's protecting religious rights or focusing on strong family structures. And that's why you see us shifting to the right. The Democrats fail to realize that foundational Black Americans want a return to the roots, to those roots. This turn to conservative party isn't a new direction. It's a return to FBA historical foundations. Here's the thing, fam. My man Jamal says, something for Uncle D's haircut. Boy, y'all not going to have me laughing on this thing. Y'all will not do me like that. I'm not about to play with y'all, man. But look, seriously. We got the first Black president, Barack Obama, and he championed the rights of the LGBT. Right? That is not something that the typical foundational Black American person supported. We tolerate it. We get it. We understand. We don't want to get canceled. We don't want to lose our jobs. But if you go behind closed doors, we are absolutely, for the most part, 99% of those people who will support it publicly absolutely do not want their son or daughter to partake in that lifestyle. You don't want your mother or father to partake in that lifestyle. Okay, so they won't keep it 100 with you, but this is what the first Black American president did. So what do you think Kamala Harris is going to do? Probably finish his job. See, at the core of the problem with the Democrat Party strategy is their assumption that all Black voters are liberal or progressive. and are aligned with that agenda. They've adopted a diagnosis that black people, particularly FBAs, are on board with these policies. And in reality, they don't align with our values and they don't address our needs. We don't care about them, they, them. That ain't really something we're interested in. And the reason the Democrats couldn't see this FBA shift to conservatism is because they've lost touch with FBA or foundational black Americans and who we really are. They're relying on a group of elites who are out of sync with the grassroots foundational black Americans. They've completely misdiagnosed the political needs of FBAs because they don't truly understand our culture, our history, or our values. And that misdiagnosis has been a gift to the Republican Party, which has been able to exploit that gap by appealing to FBA's Christian, Southern, and conservative roots. See, at the end of the day, what we're seeing isn't just a political shift, it's FBA's returning to their conservative roots. The Republicans were the original party of Black America, from Reconstruction to the Civil Rights Movement. It was conservative, Christian values that laid the groundwork for FBA communities to thrive. The Democrats' progressive agenda, influenced by the wrong voices and the wrong people, has failed to speak to those roots. And until they recognize the true culture of FBA voters, their Christian, Southern, and conservative identity, who we really are, they're going to continue to lose ground. And this isn't a betrayal of progress. It's a return to the foundations that built that great Black America that we had up until 1955. Shout out to my man TIQS on Uncle D Haircut. Boy, I'm done with y'all. Boy, I'm done. I'm all the way done with y'all. Oh, man. Hey, look, man, whatever, man. Look, I'm going to get a haircut in a minute. But shout out to everybody donating to Uncle D Haircut Fund. But look, let me y'all playing. Look, so here's the thing, okay? The Democrats are asking themselves a question. How could Black men vote for Donald Trump? Right? That's what this is what they're saying. If you look in the comments section of anybody's page, anybody that votes for Donald Trump, they're scratching their heads asking, how could Black men vote for Donald Trump? A man who is openly supported by white supremacists, right? Don't they ask that question? How can you vote for a man who is openly supported, a white man? Look, Donald Trump is probably one of the whitest white men that there is. How could Black men support this man? But see, here's the thing. We understand that racism exists. In fact, racism and Black folk have been dealing with racism since the first one of us stepped off the boat, or since some will say since the first white man arrived to this country and they saw our ancestors. And I know I'm about to shift courses. This is going to be breaking news. But I've read some books recently because you pretendians have got my curiosity up, but I'll deal with that a minute later. But since the first Black man and the first white man got here, we've been dealing with racism. And shout out to my man ATL Slab Rider. Salute to you, fam. We are not going to get rid of racism. It is always going to be here. Okay? So the question, and we just know it's like bad weather. It's just something that pops up, something you got to deal with. Hopefully you can find some shelter for it, but it's not going anywhere. Matter of fact, racism for you passport bros, you realize racism is everywhere around the world. It's everywhere. So the question is not how could Black men vote for Donald Trump, a man who is supported by white supremacists. The real question should be, how bad must be the Democratic candidate Kamala Harris be, and the Democratic Party be, that Black voters, Black men in specific, would even consider voting for someone like Trump? That's the question that needs to be asked. And that's where the Democrats' arrogance comes into play. They've gotten so comfortable with the idea that they own the Black vote that they can't even fathom why someone like Trump, who said some racist, bigoted stuff in the past, would be an option for us. But let's break that down. Black men are not blind. We see what's been happening for decades. We've been fed promises by the Democratic Party, election after election. They show up every 4 years and ask us to vote for them. And we do. But there's been no real progress. You see, they're so busy focusing on identity politics, parading around Kamala Harris as the first quote unquote black woman VP, as if that's enough to win us over. But we're smarter than that. Shout out to my man Abdullah, Trump 2024. Salute to you, Uncle D, and all the brothers. See, we're smarter than that. Just because you put someone in front of us who looks like us doesn't mean that they represent our interests. Kamala Harris has a track record that doesn't sit right with black voters, especially black men. Her history as a prosecutor, her policies, and her flip-flopping on important issues have made her untrustworthy and inauthentic. So why should we support her just because she's quote unquote black? Even though the jury is still out as to whether or not she's black for the purpose of this conversation, I'm just saying. The Democrats think that black men are going to vote based on skin color alone. They've forgotten that we're more concerned about policies that affect our families, our jobs, and our communities. So let's be honest. Black men, especially working class black men, are tired. And I say that from tired, way down tired of being talked down to, tired of being told we have to fall in line with the Democrats just because the alternative might seem worse. But guess what? If the so-called worst alternative is offering better economic opportunities or simply calling out the elitism of the establishment, some of us are going to listen. Somebody type money in the chat room. Somebody type money in the chat room. Somebody type change in the chat room. Look, it's not that black men don't see Trump's flaws. We're not blind to the fact that some of his supporters are white supremacists, but we're also not blind to the failures of the Democratic Party. We know what systematic racism looks like. We've been dealing with it for 500 years. We recognize, those of us who are intelligent recognize it's not going any damn where, and you're going to have to deal with it. But we also know what systematic neglect looks like. And the Democrats have neglected the interests of foundational black American men for too long. You want us to vote for Kamala Harris because she represents progress? How? Where's the progress for us? For working class black men who've been watching jobs disappear, who've been over-policed and underrepresented. At least Trump talks about jobs and taking down the establishment. Whether you like him or not, you know what you're getting with him. Kamala Harris, question mark. She's more interested in pandering than delivering real change. And that's why the Democrats are losing us. They can't comprehend that their superficial identity policies aren't enough. They haven't been speaking to our values, our Christian values, our family values, our economic concerns. Instead, they're still operating under the illusion that black men, black voters in general, are a monolith, and it's killing them. So here's the harsh truth, Democrats. You've made the black vote into a pawn in your game, thinking we're just going to show up and support you no matter what. But you've shown time again that you don't really care about us, and you care about the optics, about being able to parade black figures like Kamala Harris out as proof of your progressivism. And meanwhile, you've let down the very people who helped build this country, and that's foundational black Americans. So don't ask us why black men would vote for Trump. Ask yourself why the Democrat Party has become so out of touch with the very people who have been your most loyal supporters for decades. If Trump, with all his baggage, is looking like a viable alternative, that's a sign that you're seriously failed us. Now, here's the thing. I want you to understand something. I need 12 more super chats. I'm going to dig deep. We're going to dig deep down in the jungle, right? The Democrats have been banking on one thing for years when it comes to the black vote. They've been banking on fear, specifically out of fear of white supremacy racism. They want us to believe that the biggest threat to the black community is racism from outside forces. That with their protection, racism is going to come through and destroy everything that we work for in the black community. And while racism is very real, here's the thing. They're ignoring the elephant in the room. As our good brother, Mumia Obsidian Ali, one of the founders of the Black Manosphere, put it perfectly. The biggest threat facing the Black community going into the 21st century isn't white supremacy. It's the fact that Black men and Black women don't get along. And you know what? He's absolutely right. But you don't hear the Democrats talking about this. Why? Because they spent years crafting a narrative that doesn't fit the reality of what's happening in our homes, our relationships, and our communities. They want to keep us focused on external threats, keep us glued to the same tired talking points about racism and white supremacy, when the real crisis we face is internal. Look around you. Look around you. Divorce rates are sky high in the Black community. The nuclear family is in shambles. Single parent households are through the roof. And we got generations of Black men and Black women who can't even have a civil conversation with each other. Black women won't even smile at Black men, much less get along. This disconnect is tearing us apart. It's the reason why our communities are struggling to build wealth, stability, and lasting legacies. How are we supposed to build families and build communities and build a future if we can't even get along with the person we're supposed to build it with? See, the Democrats don't want to touch this issue because it means taking a long, hard look at how their policies have contributed to this division. It means acknowledging that their focus on identity politics and victimhood has kept us locked in a cycle of dependency and dysfunction, rather than addressing the real deep-seated issues that are keeping Black men and Black women from working together. They've pandered to Black women for years, using them as the quote-unquote backbone of their political machine, all while alienating Black men. Look at how they've centered policies around feminism, welfare programs, affirmative action, things that have helped divide us even further. These policies have seemed like a lifeline, but they've weakened the traditional family structure and created a division between Black men and women. Instead of fostering unity, they foster resentment. And that's the real reason why Black men are walking away from the Democratic Party. We're tired of being the scapegoat, tired of being blamed for the failures in our community, when the truth is the system, somebody type the system the Democrats built is designed to keep us divided. They've weaponized the struggles between Black men and Black women to keep us locked into their voting bloc, all while failing to address the root of the problem. Look, white supremacy isn't the boogeyman they wanted us to believe it is. It's a factor, sure, but it isn't the single greatest threat to Black progress in the 21st century. Absolutely not. The real threat is the breakdown of relationships between Black men and Black women. The family unit is the foundation of any strong community. And if Black men and women aren't coming together to build strong families, everything else falls apart. See, the Democrats don't want to deal with that because it's not an easy talking point. It's not something that they can use to whip up fear and get votes. So they keep pushing this narrative that the only thing standing between Black people and the utter destruction is them, right? The Democrats. But the truth is the destruction is already happening, and it's happening right under our noses because of the policies that they put in place. What have the Democrats done to actually fix the root of the problem? They throw out buzzwords like racial justice and inequity, but they offer no real solutions for the broken homes and fractured relationships in our community. They don't have the courage to address the fact that Black men and Black women don't trust each other anymore, and that the lack of trust, that division is our biggest obstacle to progress. If we want to fix the black community, we need to start at home. Somebody type at home in the chat room. We need to rebuild the relationships between black men and black women. And that means addressing real issues. Family, trust, roles, responsibility, accountability. And none of that is on the Democrats' agenda. They're too busy pointing fingers at external threats and trying to scare us into submission, all while ignoring the internal damage that's been done over decades. The black manosphere and voices like Mumia Absini and Ali, they're shining a light on the real issues. And we're done with the smoke and mirrors. If the Democrats want to stay relevant, they need to stop acting like our saviors and start dealing with the hard truths. Otherwise, more black men, and yes, even more black women, are going to turn their backs on them. And because we're tired of being told who to blame without being given the tools to fix what's broken in our communities, it's going to happen relatively quickly. I want you guys to we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I need 12 more super chats. This is Uncle D. I'll see you in a minute. Have pride in yourselves. Don't be so hard on yourselves. That's the other thing. Don't let this world keep kicking you and making you feel like you're not good enough. You plenty. I don't care if you're 10 pounds, 50 pounds overweight, 30 pounds underweight. You don't make enough money. You make too much money. You're too tall. You're too short. You're perfect the way you are. And I want you brothers to begin to take that. A lot of you guys did not have father figures to reinforce these things in you. You don't have that manly fatherly love supporting you in the back of your head saying, son, you can go out there. The world is yours. I'm not your fathers, but I love you like I'm your own uncle. We all one people. And so I'm telling you, brothers, I love you as a person that most people would say is successful. I'm telling you, the opportunity is out there. And most of you guys are doing much better than I was at your age. You're more confident. You got the world, you got the benefit of people like me who've made mistakes. And I want to see you ball. That's it. I want to see your ball, baby. Somebody type, I want to see your ball in the chat room. Y'all hit the number one button. So I'm going to need 12 more super chats. But in the meantime, since you all are being light today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the subscribers only on. So if you want to talk, you're going to have to actually subscribe to the channel. We're going to make you subscribe to the channel now. So if you don't subscribe, you won't be able to say a word. Okay? So now the subscribers on. And if I don't get my 20, okay, 20 is plenty. Right now we're at 9, and that's divine, but 20 is plenty. So y'all give me 11 more, and we're going to keep it going. Shout out to my man, Just My 2 Cents and Black Samurai. That gives us 10 for the win, but we need a few more. Y'all hit the number one button and let me know you're still in this. So we're talking about the unexpected rise of Black Maga. Somebody type Make America Great Again. Somebody type Make America Great Again. Somebody type Black Maga in the chat room. Somebody type Black Maga in the chat room. Okay. What do black men want? Huh? Black men want opportunities so we can be the providers and protectors that we once were. And that's at the heart of what black men are really seeking in this country. And it's no different from what all men desire in a land of prosperity. We want opportunity, plain and simple. We want a government that provides us with the chance to partake in financial abundance and that promises it's promised to every American citizen. But here's the catch. Black men, we're not just waiting around looking for handouts and empty promises. We want the playing field to be even so that our hard work, dedication, and resilience pays off just like everybody else. Here's where the Democrats have completely missed the mark. For decades, they've played the sick game of divide and conquer within the black community, especially between black men and black women. Through their policies, they've uplifted black women at the expense of black men. It's like they sat in a room and decided that black men don't need to be providers and protectors of their families. Oh, no. Somebody type, oh, no, in the chat room. They don't need to do that anymore because the government will fill that role through welfare programs, affirmative action, and social services. But only for black women to the exclusion of black men. Think about the nerve of that. Somebody typed the nerve. We're going to purposely exclude black men from these benefits, these welfare programs, these affirmative actions, and we just going to give it to black women. So you see a black man's ability to provide for his family is central to his identity. It's central to his role as father, a husband, a protector, a leader in his household. And when you take that away from him, you destabilize not just that individual, but the entire family structure. And let's be honest here. The family structure is the backbone of the strong community. It's the backbone of a strong city, strong nation. So by weakening black men economically and propping up black women, the Democrats have systematically weakened the black family. What's worse? They could have uplifted both black men and black women together. There was nothing stopping them from creating policies that supported the whole family. But instead, they chose to put women in the position of economic and social power over men. Why? Because they thought they could control the community by controlling its women. They figured if we uplift black women, they'll have control over the men in their lives and we'll maintain political loyalty through them. But what they didn't count on was the resilience of the black man. Our ability to survive and overcome any obstacle, no matter how impossible it seems. Look, they should have known by now. We faced everything from slavery, and I ain't talking about I'm talking about chattel slavery, generations of slavery, to Jim Crow, from the war on drugs, to mass incarceration, from police brutality, to the health crisis that came about because of HIV, and still black men have risen above it all. Even in the face of these intentional economic disparities that were designed to make us look like less than suitable partners, less than suitable fathers and leaders, we have thrived. Let me be clear. We didn't do it with government handouts or affirmative action or special privileges. We did it through our own hard work and determination, sometimes with their foot on our neck. So take a look at the numbers. Black men are overcoming these financial barriers that were designed to keep us down. That's why you have nearly 60%. That is the majority of black men. That is 60% of black men have reached the middle class, upper middle class, or are rich by the time they hit middle age. Somebody type, "We did that" in the chat room. Somebody type, "We did that" in the chat room. In the 1960s, the vast majority of us, 60% of us, were impoverished, living below the poverty line. Now here we are in 2024, 60% of us are middle class, upper middle class, are rich. We did that. And we did that without subsidies. We did it without set-asides, without welfare, without the Democratic Party lifting a finger to help us. And this is the power of the black man. We've proven time and time again that we don't need anyone's handouts. We don't need anybody helping us with anything. All we need is opportunity. The same opportunity that's available to everyone else. And now, here's the kicker. These same men, the ones who've been left out of the Democrats' uplift black women strategy, are turning their backs on the party. The same ones, it's the stone that the builder cast out. It's the same one that are now leading the charge back to the Republican Party, back to conservative values, because you made us do that. You made us get it out the mud. You made us respect conservative values. You made us work. You made us save. You made us pinch pennies. You made us be focused on what's going on in front of us right now. We don't have all the time for all these liberal views and expectations. We got to eat. You woke up. You've woken us up And we see the game for what it is. We see that the Democratic Party, the party of LBJ's so-called social reforms, has only held us back. They've sold us this false narrative that we're the only ones who care about our community. But all that they've done, and I'm talking about the Democrats, is divide us. They've weakened the black family and expected us to stay loyal out of fear of the alternative. Well, guess what? We are not afraid anymore. We're tired of being used as political pawns in this social experiment. We're voting against the Democrats because we're done with their lies. Their failed policies and their goddamn disrespect. We're reclaiming our roles as providers and protectors, not just of our families, but of our communities and our legacy. See, black men aren't looking for a savior. We don't need the damn government to rescue us. We've already proven we can succeed despite the odds stacked against us. What we demand now is a system that respects our ability to rise, that doesn't artificially create barriers between us and our women, that doesn't try to tell us how we should vote or thinking based on outdated notions of fear and dependency. So, to the Democrats, you played yourself. You've been playing yourself and you played a losing game. Black men are waking up. We see you for who you really are. And now we're turning our backs and walking towards a future where we control our destiny, not you. Now, Donald Trump. Somebody type Trump in the chat room. Somebody type DJ Trump in the chat room. He's the hottest rapper in the city, in the country right now. Donald Trump's nationalism appeals to black men. They want to know why black men are actually voting for Donald Trump, why the black men are not staying on the couch, why you have 20% of black men voting for Trump. Do you know this is the first time in 50 years that you have more Americans registered as Republican than Democrat? You have more Americans registered as Republican than Democrat. Last election, the Democrats were up by 6 points. I think before that, they were up by 9 points. Now, Democrats are down 1. Somebody type down 1. As a matter of fact, somebody type City Boys up. So you have more Americans registered as Republicans. This is the first time in a generation. I need 4 more super chats, by the way. So what's the appeal that Donald Trump has? What is it? Why? Why? See, Barack Obama and the mainstream media will have you believe that black men are not voting for Donald Trump because they'll have you believe he's voting for him because we see him as this masculine man who disrespects women. That's so far from the truth. Black men are not voting for Donald Trump because he's a misogynist or because of his scandals from the past or because he has some low class behavior and we identify with. That's just so terrible to say. I was gonna say a curse word, but I didn't. See, that's a narrative the Democrats are pushing to distract from the real reasons black men are turning to Trump. The idea that we would cast our votes based on his questionable antics with women, it shows just how shallow and downright ignorant the Democratic Party thinks we are. And that's how I can tell you that they got a whole bunch of immigrants in there advising them, because that's unfortunately how immigrants feel. Black immigrants have an intra-racism directed towards foundational black Americans. That's something that they would come up with. And they're advising these folks, and these Democrats are operating based on that. They think we're not intelligent. They think we're not intelligent enough to look beyond the media circus and see the bigger picture. But they're wrong. Let's be real. What's attracting black men to Donald Trump is his nationalist policies that put America first. And when you put America first, you're putting black men first, not immigrants, not foreign nations receiving billions of aid. Not look, black men, American men should be prioritized in the economic structure of this country. And that's what we care about. We want a leader who's going to focus on us and on the working class men who've been left behind by decades of failed policies and that prioritize everybody else but us. Under Trump's administration, we saw policies that brought jobs back to American soil. He pulled us out of a bad trade deal where we were shipping jobs overseas and flooding the market with cheap goods that actually hurt American workers. Trump prioritized American labor, and in doing so, he prioritized black men working, many of whom work in the very industries that were being gutted by these globalist deals that were being put together. And we want jobs, not welfare. We want an economy that rewards hard work, not handouts. Trump's focus on economic nationalism speaks directly to that, and it's insulting. It's insulting for the Democrats to assume that black men are too shallow to care about real issues like the economy, jobs, and the future of this country. Look, they think we're going to vote against Trump because of some scandal that happened 20 goddamn years ago. You think we give a damn about all the felonies they put him up, them trumped up charges? Do you think they really care about that? Do you think black men really care about that? You fail to realize that black men are looking at the big picture, and the big picture is that Trump is not only the candidate talking about putting America first, and when America is first, we're first. That's what we're looking at. I need 4 more super chats. Let's break down what black men expect Trump to deliver in his second term based on what we saw happen. Number one, under Trump's presidency, we didn't see the kind of out of control inflation that we're seeing now under Biden and Harris. Food prices are through the roof. I got these big ass sons around here walking around. I'm paying about $1,000 every 2 weeks to feed these dudes. Number one, gas prices are putting a strain on the working class families. You filling up your tank, that's half your salary for a day sometimes. And if you got a family of 3 or 4 and you have 2 cars in there, look, man, you working to pay for gas. And we're tired of seeing our paychecks eaten up by rising costs. Trump has a proven track record of keeping energy prices low and making sure American oil production is prioritized. And so if you keep the energy prices low, that makes everything else go down. The truckers don't have to pay as much money to ship the fruit, the food, and the meat across the country. Stuff is lower. People are paying less money for things. So the price of living goes down. And so under a second Trump term, we expect policies that will ease inflation, lower gas prices, and stabilize the economy so we can feed our families and live without this financial strain that we under. And let's keep it 100 with these illegal immigrants. Illegal immigration in general, it hurts black men more than anyone else. When the job market is flooded with cheap labor from illegal immigrants, it drives down the wages, especially for working class Americans. It doesn't matter if they're coming for your job. It doesn't. A lot of people say, well, you know, how can you feel your job is threatened by a person who just came to this country that doesn't speak English? Because he'll do a job that nobody else would otherwise do for less money, or somebody would do it, but they would charge more for it. And so if that's the bottom line, if that's the baseline he's creating, then the person who is above them has to say, well, I'm only doing something that's labor intensive, maybe doesn't require that much training. He's doing it for $7 an hour. Well, I can't very well charge $10 an hour. I have to charge $8. Had we had some Americans in there and they said, I'm not doing this menial job for less than 10, and the person above them will be able to do the job for 12 or 13. So having that cheap source of labor drives down wages in the economy. And see, Trump's hard stance on immigration isn't about racism. It's about protecting American jobs. He understands that if you're going to put America first, you have to protect the borders and ensure that the American workforce isn't being undermined by illegal workers who just take jobs for less pay. Black men expect Trump to continue to enforce that strong immigration policy, and that's going to ensure we have access to good paying jobs. Somebody type build that wall. Somebody type build that wall in the chat room. Somebody type send them back in the chat room. Black folks ain't worried. You look, where my people from Chicago? All my people from Chicago, put Chi-Town in the chat room. I seen gangsters on TV talking about sending them back. This is the first time I've seen more vice lords and folks on the internet. And you two talking about, we don't need this level of competition. Send these Venezuelan trade agua, send them back. Isn't that something? They out of control. Ain't that something? You got Chicago gangsters telling the news that these gangsters from Venezuela, they out of control. Come on, man. You got Bloods and Crips saying these gangsters from Venezuela out of control. That's humorous. It's not funny, but it's humorous. It's ironic. They're out of control. Like Chicago ain't been out of control. You up telling these they're gonna make it worse. We ain't know how. But I'm just saying, fam. But yeah, send them back. They don't have a problem with sending them people back. You understand? Look. Black men expect Trump to continue to enforce his strong immigration policy, and that's why we vote for him. It's going to help control the crime rate and make sure we got good paying jobs on the pyramid up, the employment pyramid. Now, the other thing is, what have the Democrats done under Biden? Okay? What have they done? Let's think about it. They've entangled us in endless foreign conflicts. You spent billions of dollars on wars that have nothing to do with us. Look, I'm gonna say a cuss word. Forgive me. I know y'all might not like this. I'm gonna use a profane word real quick. Give me some leeway, okay? But regarding this war between Russia and Ukraine, at some point, what the country we know as Russia was called the Soviet Union, and after the Soviet Union disbanded, right? Each individual state, one of them being Ukraine and Georgia and some of these other ones, they went off on their own. They still right there, okay? But here in 2024, Russia wants his bitch back. You see what I mean? Russia wants his bitch back. And, we involved in a domestic fight, and that ain't got nothing to do with us. Here you are giving money to Ukraine, which is in effect Russia's bitch. And you like, yeah, that's right, bitch. Go ahead and fight, girl. You egging this on. All you had to do was leave that situation alone and say, y'all, Ukraine, we're not about to give you any money. You better try to make up with your man. You better try to get back together with your man, girl. We ain't got money to be helped. You can't stay over here and sleep on our couch. We got other stuff we need to do. You can't do it. Russia wants his bitch back. That ain't got nothing to do with us. You understand what I'm saying? But here we have the United States under Biden here. They've entangled us in these endless foreign conflicts, spending billions of dollars on wars that shouldn't have anything to do with us. Meanwhile, our infrastructure is crumbling. Our schools are underfunded, and our veterans are being left behind. If you here in Houston, if you go to any of these underpasses, you're going to invariably see a lot of veterans of foreign wars, homeless men. You got money to send billions of dollars overseas to fund the war, but you don't even want to take care of our own veterans. That ain't cool. And you wonder why recruitment is down. You wonder why people don't want to serve in the military and the armed forces. Look how you treat them when they get out. I need 3 more super chats. Shout out to all my veterans. See, Trump isn't interested in playing world policeman. He's focused on putting America first and getting us out of these wasteful, expensive proxy wars. We expect Trump to bring back that same America first foreign policy that focuses on building our country and not rebuilding other people's countries. That's what we expect. Now, under Trump, we saw tax cuts that put more money back into the pockets of working Americans. Black men want an administration that understands that we work hard for our money, and we don't want the government taking a bigger cut than it deserves. Do you know Joe Biden has hired 90,000 or 30,000 IRS workers? He has hired 30,000 IRS. What do you think he's going to do with that? Other than sick them out on the typical American. People who are just trying to have small business. You go in a little cafe somewhere in Iowa, or you got a nail shop down in Atlanta somewhere, or you got a feed lot or something like that in Iowa. You sending the IRS out on these men and women? See, black men want an administration, all Americans, want an administration that understands that we work hard for our money, and we don't want the government taking our bigger cuts that it deserves. And Trump's policies are focused on lowering taxes, especially for the middle class families. And in doing so, they boosted the economic growth. We expect Trump to continue this trend by reducing the tax burden on working class Americans and creating an environment where small businesses, entrepreneurs, and many of whom are black men, can thrive. See, the bottom line is this: black men want an economy that works for us. We don't want to be left out of the wealth building opportunities that exist in this country. Trump's pro-business, pro-American policies are what we need to make that happen. And we're tired of seeing jobs shipped overseas. We're tired of being passed over in favor of foreign aid. We want to see our communities rebuilt, our families financially secure, and our futures bright with opportunity. Let me make one thing clear. Black men are not voting for Trump because of his personality or because of his scandals. We're not voting for him because we see him as a surrogate white daddy. We're not voting for him because of his macho, masculine, hyper-misogynistic personality. Somebody type, grab him by the P in the chat room. We're voting for Donald Trump because he's the only candidate who's serious about putting America, and by extension, black men first. The Democrats think they can keep us in their pocket by waving the flag of racism and fear-mongering about Trump supporters. But what they don't understand is that we've evolved. We're thinking bigger. We damn sure are not afraid of racism. It's been here for 500 years. It's going to be here for another 500 years. It's not going anywhere. We're thinking about our financial future, our families, and the legacy we want to leave behind. And right now, Donald Trump is a candidate who's speaking to those issues. That's why black men are voting for Trump. Now, I need some more super chats. I'll be right back. Y'all hit the #1 button.
In this Spurling podcast, click your mouse pad. Yeah, we out back. Hit the like, hit subscribe. Don't just hate watch, cause we outside. Let them hate watch, go and play pop. We just lay back. He don't play that. We don't play back. We don't play back. We go way back. Black men, yeah, we earn something. Tune in, gotta learn something. Uncle D podcast, bump it. Likes up, hit the sub button. Black men, yeah, we earn something. Tune in, gotta learn something. Uncle D podcast, bump it. Likes up, hit the sub button. This is Dennis Spurling podcast. Don't just hate watch, hit subscribe and let them know we outside. Don't hold hate, donate. Super chat, cash app. Put something in the collection plate. Church.
I want y'all to make sure y'all hit the #1 button. And we're going to kind of get back to what we like to do over here, man. I need y'all to check in at a certain point when it's time to check in. I need to checking in to start happening again. We got to go ahead and get this algorithm pumping. Yeah. Welcome back. I want to give a big shout out to all my guys who contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. Big up to my man, James O. Cole. What you think KS would think of the race so far? I think he would be proud of black men? Yes, he would. And I've been saying this for a while. I'm saying it again now. Kevin Samuels was the harbinger of things to come as it pertains to relationships between men and women in Western countries, specifically in America, and more specifically between black men and black women. He basically took the black manosphere talking points, but more specifically the black manosphere talking points, and he took them out, he packaged them, and he put them in a way and presented them to the world in a way wherein it helped change the tone and tenor of conversations. I think that Kevin Samuels would see, and somebody type KS in the chat room, all my Kevin Samuels fans, I think that Kevin Samuels would recognize that this is just a natural extension of what we would consider the think tank that is the black manosphere. Politics and relationships are only what I'm saying is that the relationships, the effect that the black manosphere and his talking points and this movement has had on relationships is evident. It's now mainstream. And now you see the effect that the black manosphere is having on politics. Men are no longer afraid to express themselves and they're conservative. We just don't care. We have the bullhorn now. And so I think he would say, yeah, it's a natural extension. That's what I think. But great question. Thank you so much, James Oko. Big shout out to Logic Hits. He said they're done effed up now. They sure did. My man Pilot Jace, good looking out. Thank you so much, fam, for the super sticker. Also, big shout out to No More Jax, Betty Blue. No more decisions made out of fear, anxiety, or lack of going forward. Black men are not afraid of racism. We're not afraid of race. We've been dealing with the brunt of racism without any help for 500 years. Frederick Douglass was complaining about police brutality, and that's fresh out of slavery. Okay, Malcolm X was complaining about it. Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan was complaining about it. It's not going anywhere. Okay, we get it. We recognize it. It's an annoyance. It's something that we have to deal with. It's something we've trained to deal with. What we're really concerned about is money in our pocket. Because what we've realized is that, you know what, if we got some money, we can hop on a plane and go somewhere else and get a respite from the racism that we have to deal with in the United States. Matter of fact, we got enough money, we can work remotely, and we don't have to deal with those microaggressions because they don't even see us. We can be on a beach somewhere talking to whoever, you see? So let somebody type money in the chat room. So it's really about money. We recognize that. We've tried education. We got freedom. Well, here's what happened. They told us to get religion to make this slavery better. We said, well, that ain't really work. We still slaves. They gave us a slave version of the Bible. That didn't work. They said, okay, we need freedom. We got freedom. And that didn't really work like we wanted to. Okay, because it's like we free, but we don't have money. So y'all need to be industrious. Y'all need to start this. So we built towns and cities, and that worked pretty well till they burnt them all down. It was working so well that they burnt them all down because we realized that at the center of white supremacy racism is money, economy. And if you can partake in that economy, you can kind of buttress yourself and save yourself from white supremacy racism. They really don't have the effect that you own everything, you're rich, then you can buy the politicians, the judges, the landlords, whoever else, and nobody can really touch you. You see? So that worked. So we realized that. But we lost that for a minute. We said, well, hey, you know what? You know what else we want? We want these civil rights. And instead of focusing on the equal part of the separate but equal, we focused on the separate part and end up integrating with white folk and lost our whole financial base. So now we are back to it, that we need to, and not only did we lose that, and once we lost the financial base, black men lost the priority that they had as head of the household. The government stepped in and said, hey, black woman, I'll help you. Here's some crumbs from our government table. And the black woman said, well, okay, well, I got to go with, I'm going to see you later, Tyrone. I got to go with the government. We'll be raised, the government and I'll be raising your checks. And so it just reduced fatherhood down to how much you could provide. We've been dealing with that since the 1950s. The families has deteriorated. The man is no longer the head of the household. And you got what you got now, 46% of black men who are single and unmarried. And so here we are. So fear of racism is the least trouble that we have. To the point now, black women openly disrespect black men. Why is that? They openly disrespect us because we're not the providers. That's why. If black men start making money and providing, women will follow you. Okay? An old pimp down in New Orleans said women follow resources. Period. Women follow power and resources. Somebody type power and resources in the chat room. If you got the power and the resources, the women will follow you. So once black men get our economic base back together, the black women, they have no choice but to fall in line. Either you fall in line or you don't eat. And if they won't, then there's women from all other cultures and countries that will. Period. That's it. So good question. Thank you so much, fam. I appreciate that. New member, shout out to my new member, LTD. Good looking out, fam. I appreciate you. Let's see. As a black wife mother, I recognize that the Dem Party has engineered the rebellion in the black women, which has led to the destruction in the black family. We need our black men in their rightful place leading. Shout out to you, LTD. It's interesting when you study the history of Rome, and the reason I use Rome is because Rome is considered to be the foundation of Western democracy. The Romans, in keeping control, Rome was a city. It was a small city. Imagine, let's say Detroit. Detroit is Rome, right? And by the time you get to 8th Mile, everything outside of that is wilderness. And you got a bunch of these wild tribes out there. How do you keep these people under control? It's not a whole lot of y'all. So what do? You do psychological tricks. You empower the women. You educate the women. You put the women in charge. And then the women are not going to respect men who are not paying the bills. And so basically that's what Rome did. They empowered the women of these foreign tribes, and that kept the people. You can't have strong men unless strong men raise them. And if you got women who are head of the household and the children see the woman as strong and as the head of the household, they're not going to respect the man or manhood. And without strong men, you can't have rebellion, you can't have war, you can't have freedom. And so that's basically what they did. See, here's the thing, LTD. You got to understand that the civil rights movement and the uprising of black people, the coming together of black people in the name of the black man, the black woman, and the black child for the progression of the black family, it damn near ripped the United States apart. It totally changed the social norms that had existed for over 400 years here in the United States. It destroyed the social fabric. And so the powers that be, including the CIA, said, well, we got to do something to undermine the power base that exists in the black community. Well, what is the power base? It's not money, it's the family. And so we got to do something to destabilize the black family. So what did they do? First of all, they attacked the black family. They took all our heroes, put bullets in their necks and their heads. They inserted, they used Hollywood, they undermined, they took the black man out of the home, took his jobs, gave him away, put him in jail. They put videos and movies and whatnot up to distort the view of masculinity. We went from hardworking black men to thinking that strong black men to thinking that masculinity was wrapped in pimphood and in the 1980s, gangsterism. And so now you got a whole group of young men who think that running through women and being tough and shooting and killing other black men is the path to manhood, because they didn't have men in their households. And then on top of that, couple that with women who they're taking the money. They think they need the money. Most women are going to take the money. That's what women do. They look for resources. So you give them a few dollars and then they're stuck and stagnant now, but they're also trapped raising these kids with no men. And so you get generation and generation after that. You got a lot of animosity that exists between black men and black women. Yeah. And this was a trick. This was the trick. This was that the Democrats pulled, but it was all because they wanted to undermine the black family. And now you see it coming back to biting them in the ass. Instead of falling and crumbling, black men still rose up like a phoenix, rising up out of the ashes, and they survived. And that's what we do. That's that magical African. taking something and taking nothing and turning it into something. We took our rhythm and our limited speech ability, and we turned it into rap music. And now you got people all around the world speaking Ebonics and rap songs. Some of the hottest lingo and lyrics come out of the United States. So yeah, I'm glad you recognize that. Shout out to you, LTD. Who else we got? Let me see who else we got. My man, Obsidian is right. BW and B-Man conflict. Yeah, that's what Obsidian said. And for you guys who missed it, the biggest problem facing Black men and women going into the 21st century is not racism, but the fact that Black men and women don't get along. That is a statement by Obsidian Mumia Ali, who is one of the founders of the Black Manosphere. I remember him saying that back in 2018. I was on a beach outside of my apartment at the time in Cabarete, Dominican Republic. I was doing some exercise and I had this on YouTube. And I thought that was such a profound statement. I thought that was amazing and very insightful. And it stuck with me all these years. And it's just one of those things like, wow, it was just a truism that I couldn't ignore. So shout out to Obsidian. Thank you so much, brother. Who else we got? The quality guy. I've the leadership of Maxine Waters before Obama. I was born and raised in her district, and now it's not a Black community anymore. I've questioned it for years. Yeah, man, they're party first, their policy first. They're not Black first. So that's why we don't just trust people who share our skin tone. What are your policies? How will your policies affect us? Because most of those politicians get rich, but then look at the community. And I think Maxine Waters represents Watts. Is it Watts? Is it over there in that Watts area? Watts, Compton, East Side? I forget. But shout out to you, fam. Good looking out. The Crash. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Black men swimming. Black men are leaving destroyed Black community and Democrat Party created. Black women that follow will take the one that won't replace. Yeah, after a while, Black women are gonna come along. They have to. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna have to come along because they don't really have any choice. You see what I'm saying? It's gonna be what it's gonna be. They have to come along. So brothers, keep doing what's in your best interest. Also, big shout out to Just For My Sins. Keep the content coming. We'll do so. Black Samurai, this is the year of the Black Man. Blizzard Mob, yeah, baby. Shout out to you. Abdullah, the Trump 2024, salute to you, Uncle D, and all the brothers. Somebody type Black Maga in the chat room. Also, my man, ATL Slab Rider, thank you so much again, fam, for the $50. Also, TIQS, Uncle D haircut fund. Somebody came through with the haircut fund. I know my line is jacked up, but I got to let it grow back before I go get a haircut, baby. I'm going to give me a haircut soon. Y'all will know soon. Big shout out to Brent. Thank you so much. Kareem Sharif, we have too much culture, and I'll put our best against their best any day of the week in any field. Good looking out, fam. Thank you so much. Also, let me see who we got up in here. Even SNL making fun of DNC. Yeah, man. Saturday Night Live is making fun of the DNC. And here's the thing. They were trying to lay off of her because they didn't want to make the same mistake that they made with Hillary Clinton back in 2016. Clowning Hillary Clinton calls for people not to vote for her. But at this point, it's just obvious. The woman is just not the best candidate. I don't think anybody has a problem with voting for a woman just because she's a candidate for president or office just because she's a woman. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that they just see Kamala Harris as not the right woman. They see her as not fit for the job of president of the United States. And I think that many people, even leading up to this time period, said, we hope that Biden is able to do his entire term because the person coming up behind is Kamala Harris. So yeah, they clowning. They got their clown suits on. Somebody type in the chat room. Anyway, shout out to my man, Internet Passport. Institutions want us to be black and die. Black men have woken up. We're going to be black and win. Yes, sir. Time for us to get what we want. Our votes will talk for us. Yes, they will. Good looking out. And shout out to everybody who contributed to the Cash App. I got my man, Mr. Booker, good looking out, Mr. Senyoke, and also Patrick Henderson. Shout out to everybody who's contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. We got 20, and that was plenty. Thank you so much, everybody. So the question, right, The unexpected rise of Black Maga. And I think I laid this out pretty good. If you guys appreciate this, did I lay it out real good for you? Is it something you can dig into? Huh? It's good stuff. Y'all getting good, high quality stuff over here. If so, make sure you share this broadcast, man. But here's the thing. Let me close by saying this. It's time for Black men to reclaim what's rightfully ours. I mean, shout out to my man Dante Warmly. It's time for us to reclaim what's rightfully ours, our legacy, our place as leaders, and our power to lift our communities out of the ashes. See, for far too long, we've been sidelined. We've been sidelined, we've been left out, we've been looked down upon by a system that treats us as expendable. The Democrats have played us, pushing policies that weaken us while pretending they're doing us a favor. But the reality is clear to me. There is no Black community without Black men. Let me run that back. There is no Black community without Black men. Look at the state of the community right now. It's in shambles. The Black family structure has been decimated, decimated. Fathers have been ripped away from their homes, and the streets have claimed too many of our young men. But it wasn't always like this. See, before the 1950s, the Black community was strong. It was united and led by Black men who were providers, protectors, and leaders. We had money in the bank. Somebody type money in the chat room. We had money in the bank. We had pride in our families. And we built businesses, schools, and communities that thrived in the face of unimaginable challenges. But what happened? The Democrats' policies, the welfare state, the war on drugs, mass incarceration, and their so-called social justice reform ripped the foundation out from under us. They uplifted our women at our expense, dividing us, and in doing so, they weakened the backbone of the Black community, Black men. Now, here's the truth. They don't want to talk about that. There can be no Black community without Black men standing tall. And the way we stand tall is by putting money in the bank again. Because with money in the bank, we can be men again. We can be the providers of our families that our families need again. We can be the protectors our women and children depend on again. We can be the leaders who rebuild our communities from the ground up again. And Trump's national policies, the ones that put America first again, will give us that opportunity again. And by stopping this flow of illegal immigration that's driving down wages, by getting us out of these costly wars that take resources away from our communities, by lowering taxes so we can keep more of what we earn, and by strengthening the economy so that Black men can build wealth again, we'll finally have what we need to rise again. We don't need handouts. We don't need pity. And we certainly don't need to be told that our only option is to keep voting for the same party that's been tearing us down for decades. What we need is opportunity. And when Black men have the opportunity to succeed, the entire community will rise with us. Make no mistake. Make no mistake about it. The current state of the Black community is a direct result of a system that has sidelined Black men. We are the ones who hold the key to turning this around. When Black men have resources to provide, when we're in the position to protect, when we can stand as men we're always meant to be, the entire community benefits. We're not just voting for Trump because he's offering us a chance to rise. We're voting for Trump because he's the only candidate who understands that putting America first means putting Black men first. And by doing that, we can rebuild everything that's been lost. So here's the bottom line. If you want to see the Black community rise again, if you want to see strong families, strong businesses, and strong futures again, then it starts with black men having the money, the power, and the opportunity to lead again. And there is no black community without us. And under the Trump's policies, we'll finally have the chance to reclaim our place as the foundation of the community. This is Uncle D. I love y'all. And as I always say,
in the Spurling podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.